back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're still trying to navigate through this process, and it's definitely a goddamn process. But you know, we're doing it. I am joined. Let me put this on. We're almost done with the radio thing. So we are joined right now by the one, the only, the beautiful Katie Summers. Katie Summers. Oh my God! Look at you. It works.
Oh,
It works. We have crying babies.
You have crying babies. Oh, so dramatic.
Oh man. So that, ladies and gentlemen.
See, everybody, it went from a cat to a dog.
I know. It's the cat.
We have crying cats. Now we got crying dogs.
He's like.
And then you have another dog that's like, yo, what? I can't be in here? Look at it.
So it's like a zoo here, ladies and gentlemen. We have a zoo studio now. Just call it the zoo studio. That's what's going on. So, anyways, Katie Summers.
Yes.
How are you?
Good.
Hi. So, what do you like the new? Do you like
I
the new?
don't know why, but I feel kind of nervous. I feel like it's our first time doing this.
Well, it kind of is the first time. Well, first off, I'm running the board, so I've never done that before. Not that we're talking about rocket scientists, but it's new. You know, I don't want us. You know, I don't want to mess up. I don't want us to look silly. So there's definitely there's more of a unnatural flow to going, okay, I'm talking now, you talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely a different vibe as to how things are being done now. So it's like, okay, I talk, and then you talk, and then I talk, and then I click it. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely have the vibe of being nervous. So, I don't know.
It's like a first date.
Yeah, and I know things aren't, they're not 100% set up the way I want everything. So, you know, after the show today, we'll re-put up things, and we'll figure out more. We'll figure out stuff that we did wrong that we want to fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I know the news part is going to be a little sketchy because I didn't get all the news articles. Not that I can't, I just haven't finished getting all the news articles. And I know that I'm going to show you how to do the pictures. Well, yeah, because basically all you're doing is, and I totally forgot that you have your laptop. That's what I'm going to show you. You would do it off your laptop. So you would just email, you would just, you wouldn't even email. You would just go on your laptop.
Save everything.
And just save, click, and then put it on a drive. And that's it, and then give it to me. And I'll even, and then I'll show you how to make, how you label a picture. So you label a picture, okay, this is this is that, this is this is that. So,
Yeah.
anyways.
Perfect.
And I know I want to switch up your backdrop, because you got to understand that I do my intro from your backdrop, and then we switch out your backdrop it's almost like the Jimmy Kimmel show where we move the set.
Mhm.
So we move the desk and back in and out. So that's kind of what we do. But it's different because on the other studio, the way it worked was I talked and your desk was almost to the right of me from behind. That's why me and you would talk like this. Well, now you're right there. So you're literally,
A straight shot.
yeah, almost a straight shot in front of me. So me and you are talking, and I can talk to you, look at the camera, talk to you, look at the camera, without moving my head. So I don't have to go la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. I can go la 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 la, la 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 la. So, you know, we'll get through it. Now I'm looking at you. So, what I got right now, and I'm going to tell you what I wanted to start with because it interests me. This is what I have ready. I have Chris Brown. I have high school. I have Miley and Nick Carter and Zuckerberg.
Okay.
That's what I have ready right this minute for this segment. If you want to,
So we'll talk about those things. You said Nick Carter, right?
yeah, I got that you said you wanted to talk about Big Nick.
Yeah. And then what was it? Okay, so Chris Brown.
I got Chris Brown.
Mhm.
The high school thing's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I heard a smidgen of it.
Well, I have more.
Yeah.
Like they're actually like detailed of what's going on.
Yeah. Then I got Miley, I got Carter, and then I got Zuckerberg.
Okay.
Those are the things that I have that are ready to rock and roll. Here we are, the Rob Black Show, rock and roll. So that's what I have that's up there right now. And now we are going to be losing our good friends at the Blog Talk. But that is going to be ending very soon because we're going to be, with the new website, a whole new format for the Blog Talk.
Yeah.
This is going to be exciting. So, anyways, here we go. Who would you like to start with?
Well, I'll start from the top, which is Facebook or Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, you would like to start with Mr. Zuckerberg.
My kid is so goofy looking. I just have to point it out. When he smiles, he's like, you know, like when you look at like the yearbook picture, and then all of a sudden you see the geekiest guy, and he's like this.
The geekiest guy.
Yeah, that's Zuckerberg. He's
Yeah.
like the geekiest guy in school, but you know, the one that made $1 billion.
I know. Isn't that the truth?
But hey, I have to give him props because he did make, you know, the #1 social media outlet.
I never did the Facebook. I do, but I don't really have it.
It's like Facebook is like made for like, because like wasn't it his whole thing was it was a dating site and then it turned into just a social networking site?
Yeah, yeah.
Because he did it because he wanted to find a girlfriend. That was his whole thing. So he made Facebook to find a girlfriend, and it ended up being this not dating site that he really wanted, and it became the Facebook we know as of today.
And he stole the idea from the guys. What was it? Harvard or something? Remember they're like the two twins. They're like two twins.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I think it's Harvard or Yale.
Yeah, Harvard or Yale or Princeton. One of those.
Big Ivy schools.
Yeah, one of those things. So you have Zuckerberg here.
Yes.
And what about this little Zuckerberg? It looks like his picture's like a yearbook picture.
I told you, it's the yearbook picture that you like look through and you're like, oh, I remember hanging out with that guy. He's like, and he's like the kid at the party that everyone's like, he's weird, but he's so cool. He's like awesome, but like over the top geeky, like really smart and kind of annoying, but kind of cool at the same time. He can still smoke pot with you and buy you beer. Like that's Zuckerberg.
All right, so tell us about the Zuckster.
So two things. One thing, the big thing, he and his wife donated $25 million to the CDC to help fight Ebola.
Okay, that's nice of him.
And also, Facebook. He has this thing now, and Apple's doing it next year, where he is paying employees to freeze their eggs.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to work for Facebook. They can freeze my eggs whenever I'm like 50. I can be like, let's have another kid. Let's have babies, 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 babies. And they have like a part of my egg frozen, so I can have, you know, if I want a baby at 50, I can have a baby at 50. So yeah, so that's what the two things they're doing. $25 million to help fight Ebola, and they will pay the employees to freeze their eggs. And Apple's doing it next year too. Apple's paying their employees to freeze their eggs, which I think is kind of weird, but kind of cool at the same time, because it is a lot of money to get your eggs frozen.
So what's that? That's to what? Have
Well,
like?
it's like say, okay. So
That's
say,
to have super babies or like
No.
Facebook
so
super babies.
Say I have really good eggs, right? And I don't want a baby right now. So I go and research hey, can you freeze my eggs? They take out the eggs and they like freeze them. And say I'm like 45 and I want a baby, my 25-year-old eggs will still be good and can have a baby.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's what they do.
So that's what Zuckerberg's doing right now.
Yeah, Facebook. Zuckerberg. Just kind of giving everybody all kinds of money. West Africa money, the hospitals that do the freezing money. Yeah. Go Zuckerberg.
All right.
I bet you that was the wise idea. She's like, honey, let's freeze all the women that work for us eggs.
Yeah.
She's like, you froze my eggs. Let's freeze everyone else's eggs. Freeze eggs!
Like Oprah Winfrey.
Everybody gets to freeze their eggs!
Oh man. Oh God. All right, give me something else.
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown.
It's very entertaining.
Chris
And he's
Brown.
on an Ebola rant.
Chris Brown. What's he bitching about?
He made a tweet of, I don't know, but I think this Ebola epidemic is a form of population control. Shit is getting crazy, bitch. And then tweeted, let me shut my black ass up. And then tweeted, I will say what I want, or I'll beat your ass. And then in parentheses, little Asian voice. Oh, suck my ass. That's what he said. Suck my ass.
I want to know what black guy still wears the blonde hair like that.
Him and Dennis Rodman.
The last time I seen the blonde black hair like that besides him was Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man.
I've never seen that. Because the only black man I know that does crazy stuff to his hair is Dennis Rodman.
It's Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just, I don't get it. I don't get it. But that he you know, I get what he's saying when it comes to the population control, because it was something the government did back in with the Tuskegee experiment, you know, infecting black men with syphilis.
Yeah.
It was also something that conspiracy theories talk about AIDS and the fact that it was purposely brought here and created by the government to kill gays. I get that, but the thing about Ebola is it's not it's not specifically attacking one group. Africa, but Africa in that region seems to be the birthplace for tons of disease. Now, if you say that's a way to control population in Africa and in that region, okay, but it doesn't really make sense because it's Africa. It's not United States. And you're not controlling a population by killing Africans. Those Africans that are there aren't coming over here and becoming rap moguls. So the whole thing of population control would be here in the United States and doing something to control one group. EBOLA is not controlling one group in the United States. Everybody in the United States that has gotten it, they're all white people. You know, the Asian girl, Ken Brantley, the Nancy, they're all white people. So if Chris Brown's saying they're having population control on white people, doesn't really make any sense. If that's the case, then he would have to be saying that the black president is unleashing a disease to control and kill white people. His logic doesn't make sense. I'm down for the conspiracy theories, and I'm down for the concept of population control, but here it does not apply because it makes no sense on the concept. So that's my story. All right, fuck Chris Brown, and give me something else.
Miley Cyrus.
Ooh, I like Miley Cyrus. Let's get to the tweaker. Well, what do you call it?
Twerker.
The twerker.
Yeah.
All right. So
Tweak is drugs. Twerk is dance. She's done with twerking.
Oh, she is?
She broke up with twerking, and she has a new dance move called the Nay Nay.
Oh, okay. Let me see the Nay Nay.
I think the Nay Nay is when she like gets on the car and puts her legs up and then does this like humping thing and like humps like everything. I think that's called the Nay Nay.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever seen her? You've seen those clips where she's like on the car, then all of a sudden her legs go up and she's like humping.
Huh.
That's the Nay Nay.
That's the Nay Nay. I wish the picture you showed us was her in the Nay Nay. Now it's just a picture of her with a.
Well, you can see her crotch like full blown right there.
Yeah, you
But
can.
also, she was in Australia and she did a interview with Sunrise, the Australian news, like morning news Sunrise.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm crazy, and I know I'm crazy, and people call me crazy, but I know I'm crazy. All right, people, like you already like say stuff I already know. All right. Okay, now remember, guys, like I'm from like Kentucky, and my dad's Miley Cyrus, so we're all crazy. Okay. Now let me like get into this other thing where I'm totally done with twerking. Is now the Nay Nay. Everyone see the Nay Nay.
There she is.
And I just want to point out this too, guys. Now remember, if I wasn't doing what I was doing and I wasn't performing, I would be in like stand-up comedy type stuff. Cause I look at me, I'm a walking joke. I walk into the room and everyone's like, oh my goodness, Miley Cyrus! Woo! So yeah, guys, like I totally know what it's like. Like I am funny. And I know that if I wasn't singing or dancing or twerking or doing the na-na, I would totally be doing stand-up.
Alright. Oh, there she is. I'm looking at her right now doing the na-na. Then it's called the, what is it?
It's either the Nana or the Nana.
The Nana!
If it was the Nana, I'd be like, you come out with the cane going, hello, hello, I'm coming, cookie.
Wow.
So yes, Miley Cyrus and
The Nana. Alright. Miley doing the Nana. Alright, well, what else you got?
Nick Carter.
Oh, Nick Carter.
And Jordan Knight. Now, if you don't know, Nick Carter is from Backstreet Boys.
Yeah,
Jordan Knight's from New Kids on the Block.
Let me see. Okay, there he is. I see him.
Okay. So they're having the Nick and Knight tour, One Night Stand. That starts in Baltimore on October 17th of this year.
It's called the
Nick and Knight One Night Stand tour. Sounds really gay.
It does.
Let me just point it out. It sounds really gay. You have, and they like made it like, it's like, you know what it kind of reminds me of? I don't know if anybody remembers this, but anybody remember Nick at Night? You remember Nick at Night, Rob?
I remember Nick at Night.
It's kind of like they took it, because I keep wanting to say Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Or Nick at Night, not Nick and Night, but Nick at Night, which was Nickelodeon during the day, and then at night you had, you know, the Nick Network, which had I Love Lucy and All in the Family and so on and so forth. Sanford and Son and all those fun shows. I love that show. I had to say it. Alright. But yeah, so Nick at Night kind of sounds like that. One Night Stand. I don't get why they would call it One Night Stand. It's two guys and they're singing together and their tour's the One Night Stand tour. Like, oh, and also, you know, Nick Carter, he has this show called I Heart Nick Carter about him and his fiance. What's her name? Where's her name at?
I don't even know.
Oh,
But I know what you're talking about.
Lauren Kitt. Lauren Kitt.
Yeah.
Whoever she is. That's his wife. So I thought her name was Jordan. But I forgot that's the guy that he's going on tour with.
Lauren Kitt.
So Lauren Kitt. So yeah. And like she's mad because the day they're supposed to get married, he's like on tour. So like there's this whole episode that was like a couple weeks ago where she's like so mad. She's like, "You'd rather hang out with Jordan than be at our wedding? We have to change the wedding because you and Jordan Knight are going on tour." It's like, this sounds even more gay, the fact that they're recapping an episode where it's like he's picking a guy over his wife. And I'm just like, I'm thinking, you couldn't just take the weekend off to go and get married real quick. I mean, drag her out there, elope at some local church, and then there you go.
Well, I gotta tell you, here's the only thing with here's in defense of Nick at Night. They're probably thankful for even being on tour again. They're probably thankful that somebody's actually paying them to go and do a performance. So he probably didn't want to fuck anything up, where he's like, yeah guys, I want to get married. Oh, then forget it, we're canceling the whole thing. That's it. It's kind of like when you, we've all had it happen to us when we're supposed to do something and we're like, oh man, I'm supposed to, go this place with my parents, or, I wonder, and they're like, hey, and they go, well, forget it, we just won't do the whole, okay, no, don't worry, I don't have to do that, I don't. So that's probably what happened at the end of the day.
Most likely.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let's face it, who wants to,
And it's funny too, because it's like, with Nick Carter and Jordan Knight, it seems like they were the only two that wanted to do music beyond the boy bands. Because, like, you don't hear anything about the other guys. And, I definitely heard Jordan Knight before. Jordan, like, New Kids on the Block, Jordan Knight was the one that kind of stuck out the most.
Was that what he was, New Kids on the Block?
Yeah. Because also remember a couple years ago, they did the Backstreet Boys, the BSB and the NKOTB tour. That was the name of it. Because New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys, they did the whole tour together, and they all sang together, and they all did weird dances together, and they would mash up the songs, and they would sing like a little bit of like Backstreet, that's alright, and then all of a sudden you hear like New Kids on the Block sing a song. I don't know a New Kids on the Block song. I know one, and I can't even think of it. But yeah, so I assume because Jordan Knight was the face of that concert, and then Nick Carter was the face of those two, and so they're like, oh my god, let's have a bromance and do an album together, and then do a tour together. It's called One Night Stand. It's gonna be awesome.
Which one is the band that sings the Got KY?
Backstreet Boys.
Oh, that's Got KY?
It's funny that you said it 'cause my dad says that.
Ah, here we go. More of the I sound like your dad type of thing. It's horrible. That's creepy. Got KY.
But if you are a fan of Nick Carter and you like to watch reality TV, VH1 has I Heart Nick Carter every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific.
Now you're doing advertisements for Nick Carter and VH1.
I wasn't doing advertisements. I was just saying if you like them
If you like
and
them.
you like reality TV shows.
You love reality TV
But
shows.
I don't love that much. I don't watch anything on MTV, and I do not watch anything on VH1 at all. I think those are the worst TV shows in the whole entire world. Like, hello, they have Leanne Rimes and that Eddie guy,
No.
and he's like cheating on her with like 5 trannies. I don't know. So.
You're thinking of Hank Basket.
No, but he is cheating on Leanne Rimes, and she's okay with it.
Is that what she said? She's cool?
She's like, I don't care, I love my husband. I'm not like that other girl that left. Like, okay, we're done.
Alright, well, fuck it.
So yeah, okay. You ready for a sexual harassment story?
Yeah,
It's kind of disturbing.
I'm pretty excited about it.
It's kind of disturbing.
Alright, go ahead, tell me about it.
All right, so, and out of all places, it's New Jersey.
Of course.
Let me just throw it out there. It's New Jersey.
I've heard bits of the story. Where is it? Sayreville War. What?
Sayreville War Bombing High School.
Wow.
No, seriously, they're called the Bombers. Like
Oh, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's like a military school, I assume. I mean, they're like the Sayreville War
It's
High School.
It's a military school.
And then also they're called
It's
the
military.
Bombers. Like, okay. So
All right,
speaking
go ahead,
of
give
bombs,
us the
here's the
story.
big bomb. So at Sayreville High School in New Jersey, 7 football players were arrested Friday and Saturday and charged with aggravated sexual assault, hazing on 4 different incidences with 4 different teenagers, other players. 3 of them are charged with the sexual penetration side of aggravated sexual assault, and the other 4 are just simply, take the soap and the sock and smack your ass with it. The 3 kids, the 3 players who are the rapers, are looking at getting 20 years in prison. They're all in juvenile. They're all charged as juveniles, but when the prosecution's investigation keeps going, they're gonna then decide as later things come out if they're gonna be charged as adults. But those 3 kids are looking at 20 years in prison. The other 4 are looking at a lesser charge, about 10 years in prison, 5 to 10 years in prison. Nothing has been said yet. Their main focus is the 3 kids, since the 3 players that have the bigger charge are involved in a rape status in the situation. And so they also postponed the whole entire, basically they suspended the football team indefinitely. So they're like, no football team. And as of right now, there's nothing. They don't have a football team. And it's all all going to be determined as this case keeps going if they're going to definitely suspend the football team.
Now, do you know what they did?
They won't give any details.
Okay. Now, this is where this is what I heard. And it's weird. It's weird because that's what I say. I heard the tail end of the story. You gave us the details. I heard the tail end, and from what I heard on Lawrence O'Donnell, because Lawrence O'Donnell was like, I can't even say what was done. So the news reporter that was reporting on it from the war school here said basically what was done, and that's why it's weird that they're going to go for rape, because to me it's creepy, nasty hazing that it was like way over the top. But as far as I'm concerned, traditional rape that we know it was not what was done. To me, rape is, a girl or a guy attacking another girl or guy, fucking them in their ass, beating them up, rape, like we know, like Jodie Foster accused rape. This was the school or the football team. They were in the gymnasium. They turned off all the lights, and then the rookies, the freshmen on the football team, were naked, and then they stuck their fingers up their asses and then shoved them in their mouths. So they basically pinned these kids down, held them, and had them do ass to mouth.
Well, that's sexual I mean, I guess that is going to be one of those things then is, is it rape?
But
I get what you're saying, but the way they make this whole story sound was that they were penetrating these kids.
Which is what they did.
Which, yeah, but then is there going to be a line, well, was it rape then? Is that going to be the thing? Was it a form of rape since that is kind of against their will? Since they didn't ask to have anything in their ass and then forced inside their mouth? Like, if my kid was the victim, I would be like, they raped my kid. No matter what they did, they raped my kid because that was against his own will. Because he didn't ask for that. It's not like he asked for it. It's not like he's like, yes, finger fuck my asshole, shove it in my mouth. Ah.
Okay, yes, you're right. But, okay, here's my issue. You're right. They were not asked to be finger fucked in their assholes and forced to do ass to mouth with their hands. But to charge these kids with rape and say, okay, this is going to carry, could be 20 years, this could be 10 years. To me, it's not framed in the context of what we all believe traditional rape is. Now, the concept will be somebody saying to me, Rob Black, you're an asshole. Rape is rape. No means no. If anybody wants to do anything to you sexually and you say no, that is rape. I get that, but that's not what I'm talking about. This is a hazing situation. This is not what we know as traditional rape, which is a guy or a girl. I mean, very rarely do you hear of girl rape, but a guy in the bushes, a woman is jogging or a woman walks by, or a guy walks by and the person jumps out of the bushes, assaults them, and fucks them, rapes them, penetrates them. That's what we know as traditional rape. A husband, depending on what state you are in, because some states don't recognize a forced sex on a married couple, but regardless, I still think no is no, that's rape. Traditional rape, the guy coming home, seeing his girlfriend, grabbing her, slapping her around, pulling her pants down, and violating her while she's screaming, "No, please stop." Rape, that's what we know. The concept of a football team and a bunch of kids going, "Hey, all you freshmen, be here in the gymnasium at 8 o'clock tomorrow night for your initiation." Hey, meaning these freshmen weren't just walking down the hall and then a couple of the captains of the football team jumped out of a locker, pulled their pants down, and started finger fucking them in their ass. There was more to it. These kids knew they were going to get hazed. They didn't know they were going to get violated in their rectums, but they knew something was going to happen. They're kids. There's no way that hazing didn't. There's no way that they didn't know that a hazing incident was going to happen. Just like when you pledge to a fraternity and you go, "I want to be in this fraternity," you know there's going to be hazing. You don't know what the hazing's going to be, but you know there could be alcohol consumption till you get alcohol poisoning. Guys jerking off on food and making people eat it. These are all things that actually happen. Years ago, they had hazing that went viral, and it was on TV, on the news cycles, that a senior hazing incident at one of the schools, which was a tradition, and every year the seniors hazed the freshmen. And it got out of hand where it turned into like a big giant gang fight almost. That's what it looked like in the middle of a field where you had freshmen getting punched and covered in food and piss and shit. And it turned into this huge scandal because it was a tradition that was done every year. And why it was a scandal was there were teachers that knew of it, parents knew of it, people knew that every year their tradition at this high school was freshmen hazed, or seniors hazed freshmen. And this got out of hand and people videotaped it and it went viral and people were like, "This is horrible." And it showed freshmen sitting there like this, getting like shit thrown on them, and they were crying because they're like getting abused, but they were taking it because it was tradition. So my point is not that you say, "Well, they had it coming." I'm not saying that. What they did was wrong, but it's a little different than just jumping out of a bush and assaulting a woman and raping her. This is a bunch of guys on a football team.
This is my thing,
Not
though.
women. They're guys on a football team. Kids going, "You're getting hazed tomorrow, freshman." And they're like, "Gee, wonder what's going to happen." And all of a sudden, they get their pants pulled down and get finger fucked and made to eat their ass.
See, this is my thing. It's like, they're kids. It's like, kids shouldn't be doing that. Like, it's one thing if you're 19 years old and you want to join a frat and that happens. Like, whatever. But when you're 14 years old, that shouldn't happen. No, like, you laugh. It's not funny, though. It's not. Like, no kid should, like, kids who do that, it's like, where the fuck are your parents? And kids who get that done to them, it's kind of like, you're 14 years old. You should not have that done to you.
Once again, I'm not condoning it.
Sounds like you are.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I can tell you're getting upset because you were hazed when you were in high school and
never
you
knew
finger
of
fucked in
hazing.
your asshole.
I never knew of hazing.
All I'm saying, this is all I'm saying. This is it. That's all I'm saying. Is a 20-year sentence, prison of any type, to me is a little outside the box, because calling it rape and putting it in the context of assaulting somebody out on the street is different than a bunch of high school kids doing a hazing thing for their football team. Because my question is, would we be outraged if this was the traditional hazing of, let's make the freshmen drink tons of alcohol until they fucking pass out? That happens. There was a famous, as funny as it sounds, band instructor, like that movie Drumline.
Are you talking about the sexual guy that made people do like sexual acts to each other or whatever?
No, there was a Drumline type school, and they got in trouble because one of their rituals, or they have hazing to get into the band new recruits, and they drink, and they got jammed up because either somebody died or somebody got alcohol poisoning and had to go to the hospital. People were like, dude, you guys can't be doing this shit. Like, you can't do that to people. Again, that's not right either. But would we be talking about this thing in Jersey and being outraged if instead of, finger fucking these kids and making them eat their own ass, one of them went to a hospital because they had alcohol poisoning? That's all I'm saying. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying
it's all wrong because you're dealing with kids. You're dealing with like kids who are under the age of 18. To me, that's what I'm mostly outraged about, is the fact that they're 14 and 17 years old. And it's kind of like, what 17-year-old in their right mind would do that to somebody? It fully trips me out. It's like, I wonder how you're going to be as an adult. That to me is a serial killer starts with animals and ends up killing a bunch of humans. It's kind of like that same situation. A kid then becomes a priest and starts fucking the altar boys. It's like one of those things. It's kind of like, dude, that, we don't need that in our society. We don't need crazy people like that in our society, especially at 17 years old. Kind of like, where the hell are your parents? Does your dad do this to your mom on a regular basis and you see it? And you think it's well, dude, that was hazing. No, 20 years. Now, the only defense that I have on that is 20 years is a little too extreme.
Okay.
But then again, it's they're facing that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all my point was to the young.
Then you should have said that. You should have just said that.
But I did say that.
Because you got me all upset because it made it sound like you were defending the whole entire situation. To me, but then that's the thing, is 20 years. It's kind of that is a really long time. Just give them 18. That's perfect. Give them 18 years.
All I was saying was I feel it's more, okay, here's a better, I feel it's more of assault than it is rape.
Now remember, I was the one that said rape. They didn't say
No,
that.
they're saying,
because when they say aggravated sexual assault, that to me just sounds like rape.
But that's really what it means, and I'm like I said, I'm not condoning it. I just think it needs to be put more in perspective. That's all I
But
mean.
then again, we're talking about New Jersey, so who knows how their laws work?
Well-
What they call rape and what they call just assault.
Let's put it this way. You're talking about kids that in this day and age go online or watch the news and they hear about Miami Dolphins, Richie Incognito, and Jonathan Martin,
Yeah.
and they hear the inner workings of hazing in the NFL locker room, from racial abuse, calling people names, saying they're going to rape their sister, to players beating each other up. I mean, you heard the report where it said one player was standing by his locker and another player just came up and punched him, or had a roll of quarters in a sock and hit him in the face. So you have kids going, dude, all we did was let's stick our fingers up dude's ass and stick them in his mouth. That's not worse than beating him with a metal object on his face. Again, I'm not condoning, I'm just saying, look at the environment that these kids grow up in as far as athletes, and they're going, well, the NFL, they do hazing. We don't make millions of dollars, so we can't make our freshmen buy us food and take us out to fine restaurants. We can't take quarters and beat them up with money and swell their eyes. I mean, the report said the guy almost fractured his orbital bone. We can't do that, but fuck it. We'll make him eat his own asshole. Ha 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 ha. It's not condoning it. It's not doing anything other than just putting it in perspective and saying 20 years, and to me, even jail time at all. And I gotta look at what goes on in sports out there as far as what grown men do to each other. I mean, forget putting, popcorn in a guy's Ferrari. Okay, that's funny, but the cases we heard when guys were assaulting each other, and they're in the NFL locker room, that's got to be on the same wavelength as finger fucking somebody, making them eat their own ass. You'd have to ask yourself this: would you rather have somebody almost shatter your orbital bone in your eye, or stick their fingers up your ass and then stick them in your mouth? It's kind of like which poison do you take? They both kind of suck, but do you want to have your face pummeled in and fractured, or eat your own ass? Again, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying, look at what these kids are subjected to in sports when it comes to, well, we should do hazing like they do in the NFL to the rookies. Our rookies are our freshmen. We're the veterans, we're the seniors, so this is what we should do. And they're like, hey, we can't do this, let's just do that. That's kind of nasty. I know, it's horrible.
But then again, you're a boy, or you're a guy, you're a man. So, to you probably, of course you would think like that. Not saying that you would think of this thing.
Listen,
because you gotta think, me as a woman, I am thinking the perspective of, they're kids. They shouldn't be doing that. The influences that are around them are bad influences. They look up to these people who are doing these hazing incidences that, they can buy their way out of, basically. So it's like, these kids, they're kids. They shouldn't be hazing people. They shouldn't be doing that. But then again, I never knew of hazing. There was no hazing at my school. And if there was, no one knew about it. So it's kept tight. And the only thing I knew of hazing was you branded yourself, and that was it. You know, like the it was the baseball team would like all brand themselves. And they would have like come to school with like burn marks, and that was them hazing. That was it.
Well, remember, you are talking to somebody,
Who loves hazing?
no, that did participate in shoving wadded up $40 bills and ones up someone's ass on graduation night.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, that person accepted that deposit of money in his rectum. That person.
Then again,
But there's an example of us in high school going, okay, what is on that? What's horrifically horrible? I mean, that's in that vein of hazing, although, you know, ours was all consensual, but it was basically saying to somebody, here's a dare. You could have all this money if you get it shoved up your ass. And that person going, all right. And us going, okay, and shoving money up somebody's asshole. And them going, all right, I did it. I did this as a dare. And that was
different though.
But it's not. It just shows you the mentality of guys. Look at Jackass when they do the stunt and they shove the toy cars up his asshole.
It's all consensual.
I just said that. You don't fucking pay attention to me.
I am, but I mean, like, that's why I said, well, it's different, and you said, well, not really, and I said, well, because it's consensual. Of course, it's different.
We got a new studio, and you digressed. You're like a general with his shots. I said that it's completely different. What we did was consensual. No, I did. Captain, what I meant was you're talking about the act of a degrading sexual thing, and so, it's how is it that guys, that's what they think of? Well, okay, we're gonna haze somebody. We're gonna do something to them against their will. It's gonna involve sex. We're gonna make them eat cum. We're gonna do something and you're gonna agree to it. It's gonna be sexual. We didn't say to the kid, you can take this money if you go outside and wave to strangers. We're gonna give you this money if you run around naked outside. We're gonna give you this money if you shove it up your ass. It involves something sexual. That's what I meant by the same as the hazing of guys finger fucking the kid's ass. They sat there and went, how we're gonna haze the kids? We're not gonna make our freshmen drink beer until they pass out. We're gonna make them do something sexual. That's what I meant. Jackass. They sat there and went, we're gonna come up with a stunt that is so over the top. You know what it's gonna be? You're gonna stick toy cars up your asshole. You're gonna walk in to the hospital and go, I have a problem down here. Yeah, it was consensual, but it involved a sexual act. That's what I meant.
That's the other thing too, is why do guys do sexual act stuff? Like, why is it? Like, why is it whenever they do something, it's not drinking? I mean, wouldn't you rather have someone just puke their brains out than have someone get something shoved up their ass? Like, what is it? Like, what, like, is it the funny factor or is it the amusement? Like, that's another thing too, is like, why do guys tend to do stunt stuff or anything where it's a prank or hazing where it's sexual? I mean, look at all these schools that are the fraternities and the sororities that are constantly getting sexual assault like cases thrown at them for hazing. You know, it's kind of like, why is it always like sexual? Is it because it's most extreme?
Yeah, because a sex thing, it's degrading. It's dehumanizing. It's everything that you are completely terrified about. If you have a girl in a sorority that is not a lesbian, regardless of the fact that everybody goes, oh yeah, all girls are lesbian. If you have a girl that is like, dude, I'm not gay, just like a guy that will go, I don't want to suck a dick. If you have a girl that is not a lesbian who's really like, dude, I know that's nasty, and you're like, okay, here's your hazing. See Martha over there, you got to go lick her pussy, and Martha's like, I'm not gay, but I'm gonna haze you, so eat my pussy and my asshole. And the girl's like, oh, but it's like a whole degrading, rapey type of thing. It's horrific. No different than when I tell you about the ookie cookie and the guys all have to jerk off on the cookie. It's like, think about it. A guy eating puke or eating shit is more acceptable than eating jizz. If you sat there and went to a guy and said, here's urine, here's poop, and here's 5 guys' jizz, he'll fucking take the poop and the piss before he eats the 5 guys' jizz. It's just a whole degrading, gay sex thing. It's the ultimate form, just like streaking. Why is running on the field in a football game? Okay, yeah, big deal, someone did it. But when they do it naked, it's like, what? Why, I dare you to go, you were never, when you were young, nobody ever was like, I dare you to go outside naked. Dare you to run around the house naked. I mean, that shit happens all the time. All the time. Why when you're young, do kids play spin the bottle? Truth or dare? It's all sex games. Truth or dare? Truth or dare? Okay, I dare you to put your mouth on Bill's penis. What? I dare you to let George put his finger in your pussy. It's like, why do kids play truth or dare? It's all based around sex. Nobody goes truth or dare. I dare you to let Frank punch you in the face. Nobody does that. Nobody dares someone to let someone punch him in the face. It's like, I dare you to make out with so-and-so. That's what I mean by it's all in that same realm. The consensual aspect, it's just a different layer, but it's the sex, whether it's forced sex or not forced, in the sense of I'm making you do this, but somebody goes, okay, I have an option. Yeah, you have an option. Oh, okay. What's my option? You can either give me $1,000 or you can eat my asshole. What? To say it's the same thing. To say it's kind of like sexual harassment cases, or when secretaries fuck their bosses, and the secretary or the people that work there are like, I need to earn extra money. Can I get more hours, boss? The boss goes, I don't have more hours to give you, but I got my cock to give you. It's all the same ballpark. So, hazing is bad. Rape is bad. School is bad.
As much as I'm like, oh, I want, have my kids be in football and all these sports, and I want them to be part of the whole fraternity and sorority thing, but then I'm like, no.
Well, think about this. I mean, I'm giving you instances, and you're like, no. But what about, you had to have had senior prank day.
We didn't.
So you didn't even have senior prank day?
Nope.
Jesus Christ. Well, we even at
Like that, like for how public my school was, the school had 1,500 cameras around it. It had fucking security guards that were all suited up. We couldn't, certain halls had metal detectors. We couldn't bring anything. We couldn't do anything at that school.
Wow. Wow.
So we had so many gang fights at that school, you couldn't do anything. So by the time I was a senior, it was like in total like lockdown. We had 10 lockdowns my senior year. So there was no senior prank.
Yeah, I mean, you have senior pranks. It's just school. Kids now, I think, have ratcheted up, but ultimately, it's like senior prank. It's like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna, we're gonna take all the furniture out of the school and put it on the front lawn.
I think, like,
yeah, it's a far cry from finger fucking people's assholes, but you're talking about again, a bunch of jocks.
I mean, but our senior pranks also included our rival schools. Like our school was like big rivals with this school called Western Hills, and I think we took like one of their statues, like one of their like little like statues, and like put it on our football field. Like I remember going to like the football field one day, and there was like a random like mascot statue like just chilling, like all spray painted, and that was our senior prank. So we took
So you guys are fucking you guys are.
I did it. I wasn't part of it.
You guys are thieves.
Yeah.
You guys committed grand larceny.
And and like there's like some kids that spray painted cars with like penises and stuff. Like they like tagged all the white cars that had like penis and put penises on them.
Horrible.
But like all the other schools like had like the best pranks. Like someone like put like dropped eggs in like one of the students like cars. They left like the convertible, like left the top open, like the sunroof open, or like they put like goldfish in the pool. They put bubble bath soap in the pool.
No.
But we didn't have a pool.
We didn't have a pool either. We
For how big the school was, we didn't have a pool.
we didn't have anything exciting except we had church. We had a big church. That's what we had. We had like churchy stuff.
We had a football field, a baseball field. The soccer field was football field. We had a gym. I think we had two gyms. We had two gyms, like a small gym and a big gym. And then yeah, that was it.
Yeah, but
That's
I mean,
what the school had. The school had nothing. And every other school, and this was a 4A school, so this school is huge. Like, fucking gigantic school. Like, you'll see it, because it's, like, over by, like, where my parents live. And all the other schools, they had pools. They had, like, racquetball centers. They had tennis courts. And I'm like, no one likes us. But we had a lot of gang members.
well, we had all the same. We had baseball field, football field, bleachers.
Yeah. And they were super uncomfortable bleachers.
I'll tell you now, it's funny. I look at. I remember going by the Burbank High School up a couple years ago. Their football field looks like a professional football field. AstroTurf, the logos are on the field, bleachers, press boxes. I'm like, man, I wish I could have played high school football like on a a field like that. It makes you feel like you're playing on a real football field, like
Oh,
in
that was
a
another
real
thing.
place.
That was another thing. Is my high school only had one set of one side bleachers. Like, okay, so we had two sides. There was the one big side and then the itsy bitsy guest side. And I remember going to a couple of the other schools football games, and they the stadiums would be huge. Like their football field would be huge,
Yeah.
and it would be huge seating sitting areas. And I was just like, wow, my school sucks compared to these other schools. And they're smaller, and I'm like, I get it. The bigger the school, the smaller the thingies, sports stuff. But our baseball field was pretty good. But then again, we were champions, so we had the ultimate field. But all the other schools were really small with these big fields. Unfair.
Unfair. All right, well, unfair. It's 1:58.
Holy shit.
Yes, it's done. We're done. What do you think of?
We talked that whole time about fucking high school. A sexual assault case.
About 20 minutes we talked. Yeah. We'll talk. We're gonna do some of that other stuff tomorrow, like Zach Gandolfini.
We gotta talk about Rick Perry though.
Rick Perry. Yeah. We'll
And
go.
the gay congressman.
Yeah, we'll go
in
over.
San Diego.
We're gonna go over all that stuff tomorrow because tonight I'm going to show you how to do the pictures, and you'll feel liberated because you're gonna be like, oh my god, this is so awesome. Because then we'll do even more stories because you'll be like, here's the disc, here's 17 pictures. Because that was easy. I got the vibe. That was easy, and I figured out the picture effect to have the picture-in-picture thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy. This is
Easy?
yeah. This is simple. This is gonna be simple. So I don't know. I want to bust out some videos tomorrow.
It'll be fun.
So it was good. Anyways, Summers, why don't you give us a sign off? Hi, ladies and gentlemen. It's Rob Black. I hope you guys had as much fun today as we did trying to navigate our lives and put this new system in place. And I hope you guys liked it. I hope you liked the setup. I hope you liked the look. What do you think? You think it looked good? Did you like it?
I am obsessed with the map.
You like the map? It
I'm
looks
obsessed
good.
with it.
Kind of it's got a good vibe. I know they're gonna put the lights on and do some lights, like make some lighty type of things.
Yeah.
I know they're gonna have light shining here and there hitting that, and I think I know they gotta adjust your the camera over there. I know they gotta do that. So I don't know, a whole bunch of things that have to be done, but we'll get to that, and tomorrow we will improve some more. Anyways, guys, the Rob Black Show. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m.